Hello, welcome back. This is chapter second, poem number third, A Tiger in the Zoo, written by Leslie Norris. And today I'm going to explain the remaining three stanzas of this poem. So here we go. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. So, talking about the same tiger that the author, that the poet found in the zoo, and he felt quite bad about the tiger because a person can best develop his qualities, his features when he or she is independent in the open, when he is allowed to lead life independently, when he's free. And so the poet says he should be snarling around houses. It should be aggressively growling, aggressive making aggressive sound of growling around houses at the jungle's edge, or at the edge of the jungle. Now the tiger sometimes come out of its habitat, and it comes out in the open, in the residential area, out of the jungle. And so the poet says that this tiger should go cross his limit, go beyond his habitat, his natural habitat, and go around the houses, located on the edge of the forest, and then terrorize the village, terrorize the people by showing the bar fangs, the white fangs, that is the long, sharp pointed front teeth of wild animal are called fangs. So barring the white fangs, showing those white pointed sharp teeth to the people, his claws, because these are the weapons of a wild animal. The fangs and the claws are the weapons, and showing this weapon, terrorizing the village, that is the villagers and the cattle there, not letting them come out of their houses. When a person is terrorized, he would not come out of the house. So, and that way the tiger should behave. But here, this is just the opposite case. Here, just the opposite thing has happened, or is happening, or the tiger is under confinement, and the people are free, are in the open, or moving about in the open. So, all this is shown, this irony, it's, you can say, the irony, just presenting the opposite idea, whereas the one who can terrorize is in the cage, in the confinement, and the one who should be terrorized, that the humans, and they are in the open. But is locked in a concrete cell. He should do these things. These are the things that are associated with the wild animals. So they should do those things. But here the case is different, because he is locked in a concrete cell. This tiger cannot behave in that way because he is locked in a concrete cell. He is locked. He cannot come out, cannot show his true color. So, this is the case. That's why the opposite is happening. His strength behind bars. And his strength is behind bars. His power, his strength is all behind the bars, that is captivated. He cannot use his power, his strength, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitor. And since his power is behind the bar, so what he can do here, he can terrorize the people, but the only thing that he can do is stalk about the length of the cage, that is move about quietly the length of the cage and ignoring the visitor. And he could only ignore the visitor because however hard he tries, he cannot terrorize the people. People would not be terrorized because they know or they are safe, or the tiger cannot come out of the cage and cannot do any harm. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. So he hears the last voice at night. A tiger in the natural surrounding hunts at night. But here he is helpless, and he can only hear say he can only hear the sound that is coming from around the place. He cannot act, he cannot go there, he cannot attack. He can only helplessly he can only hear that sound of the patrolling car, the only movement that is there at night, that is of the patrolling car, and he can helplessly hear the sound of that patrolling car. And he stares with his brilliant eyes, and he stares. There is brilliance. There is every characteristic, every feature that a tiger must be having. He is having all those characters, but they are useless. And with all his brilliant features, with all the weapons that a tiger is supposed to have, he is helpless and helplessly looking at the bright stars with his bright eyes. So showing his helplessness and staring at the star, showing that he has nothing to do. Whereas in the natural surrounding, he should be busy at night, going for the hunt and securing his food. So this is the explanation of the remaining part of this poem. So now let's go about discussing the rhyming scheme and other poetic devices. So beginning from the third stanza, here the rhyming scheme is all the same. In all this stanza, the rhyming scheme is all the same. A, B, C, B. See here, the second and the fourth line rhyme with each other. And the third and the fourth the same, and also in the last the case is same. Here, if you look at closely, the second and fourth lines, that is the last word of the fourth and the second line. So here you find a little bit of difference. Bars and visitors, ter and a bit difference, but this is called poetic license, and the poet can make a little change, they can do a little changes, and they're allowed to do so. But here we have to take it as they are matching, they are rhyming with one another or each other. So this is it. Now about the poetic devices. So in the first line of third stanza, we find S sound coming at the beginning of two words, and here this kind of repetition of a sound is known as alliteration. Then we have Then we have assonance. The O sound is prominent here. A sound is prominent here in the first line. That is, in the first line, both O and A sound are prominent, and this is a case of assonance. This becomes assonance, a poetic device. Now we're moving on to the second here. Second line, E sound is prominent. This is also assonance. Moving to the third, I is prominent again, barring I, his, white, his. So I is prominent again. This is a case of assonance. So this is all. Now moving to the fourth stanza. Here we find, first of all, we find imagery. What is imagery? You see here, strength. What is said? His strength behind bars. So here the poet makes us visualize the thing that strength is something, some object. He asks us, or he makes us visualize strength as a thing, as an object, and it is behind bar, which is, though not the case. Strength is not something concrete. It's not concrete. So here this is a case of imagery. Besides this, we find the use of assonance here also. In the first line of fourth stanza, E is prominent there, and then moving to the fifth, we have here the repetition of H sound. He hears. So here it is, alliteration, and then we find the use of assonance as well. If we look at the third line, the sound I has been repeated. So this is a case of assonance. So this is all about the chapter, the poetic device, rhyming scheme, and the explanation. Thank you all.